Greetings of peace and prosperity. Good day, Madam Vargas and classmates. Today, I will be discussing liability of public officers, malversation through negligence or abandonment. But, before we dig deep onto understanding today's lesson, I have prepared here an activity entitled I'm Puzzled. In this activity, I will be presenting pictures in a puzzle format, and all you have to do is to identify who's who. Ready? This is the first puzzle. Will you identify the first picture? Great! This is Jose Pimentel Ejercito Jr., better known as Jinggoy Estrada, is a Filipino politician, actor, and film producer. He is the son of the former Philippine President Joseph Estrada. Let's proceed to the second puzzle. Who do you think is this man? Awesome! This is Joseph Ejercito Estrada, also known by the nickname Erap, is a Filipino politician and former actor who served as the 13th President of the Philippines from 1998 to 2001. Will you reveal the third puzzle? Good job! This is Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., also known simply as Bong Revilla, is a Filipino actor, television presenter, and a politician who is currently a senator of the Philippines. How about this fourth puzzle? Can you guess who is this? Indeed, this lady is none other than Jeanette Jenny Lim Napoles. She is a Filipino businesswoman who is believed to have masterminded the Priority Development Assistance Fund scam. Let's come to the fifth and final puzzle. Who do you think is this man? Congratulations! He is Ferdinand Emmanuel Idralin Marcos Sr. He was a Filipino politician, lawyer, and kleptocrat who served as the 10th President of the Philippines from 1965 to 1986. So you might be thinking or asking, why did I present this group of people? Well, these persons were allegedly accused, charged, impeached, convicted, and or imprisoned due to cases of graft and corruption, plunder, perjury, and other misappropriation of public fund crimes. And that commenced our topic entitled Liability of Public Officers, Malversation through Negligence or Abandonment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Mr. Neil Cervantes Franco, your discussant for today. This topic emerges from its legal basis. And these legal bases are: first, RA 3815, second, RA 1060, and third, RA 10951. Republic Act 3815, or also known as Revised Penal Code. Republic Act 1060, an act increasing penalty for the crime of malversation of public funds or property by amending Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code. Republic Act 10951, or also known as an act adjusting the amount or the value of property and damage on which a penalty is based, and the fines imposed under the Revised Penal Code, amending for the Purpose Act number 3815, otherwise known as the Revised Penal Code. Now, let's dig deeper in understanding liability of public officers, malversation through negligence or abandonment. Malversation of public funds or property. From Book 2 Crimes and Penalties, Title 7, Crimes Committed by Public Officers, Chapter 4, Article 217. The elements of malversation of public funds under Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code are: 1. The offender is a public officer. 2. He had the custody or control of funds or property by reason of the duties of his office. 3. Those funds or property were public funds or property for which he was accountable. 4. He appropriated, took, misappropriated, or consented, or through abandonment or negligence, permitted another person to take them. Article 217. Malversation of public funds or property. Presumption of malversation. It states that any public officer who, by reason of the duties of his office, is accountable for public funds or property, shall appropriate the same, or shall take or misappropriate, or shall consent through abandonment or negligence, shall permit any other person to take such public funds or property. Wholly or partially, or shall otherwise be guilty of the misappropriation or malversation of such funds or property shall suffer. First, if the malversed fund of the public officer does not exceed 40,000 pesos, he may have a penalty of prison correctional. Thus, he may be imprisoned from 6 months and 1 day to 6 years. Second, if the public officer is found guilty of malversation of public fund more than 40,000 pesos but does not exceed 1,200,000 pesos, he may have a minimum penalty of prison mayor, which is imprisonment of 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. Third, if the public officer had malversed funds more than 1,200,000 pesos but does not exceed 2,400,000 pesos, he may have the maximum penalty of prison mayor raised to reclusion temporal. Fourth, the public officer may have the penalty of reclusion temporal in its medium and maximum periods of imprisonment from 12 years and 1 day to 20 years if he had malversed funds more than 2,400,000 pesos but does not exceed 4,400,000 pesos. Fifth, the maximum period of reclusion temporal as penalty of the offender who had malversed fund more than 4,400,000 pesos but does not exceed 8,800,000 pesos. However, if the amount exceeds the latter, the penalty shall be reclusion perpetua, which is imprisonment of 30 years if given pardon, or life sentence. In all cases, persons guilty of malversation shall also suffer the penalty of perpetual special disqualification and a fine equal to the amount of the funds malversed or equal to the total value of the property embezzled. The failure of public officer to have duly forthcoming any public funds or property with which he is chargeable upon demand by any duly authorized officer shall be prima facie evidence that he has put such missing funds or property to personal uses. To give us a better understanding of malversation of public funds, liability of public officers, let's take the case of Ophelia Hernan versus the Honorable Sandigan Bayan, GR number 217874. Facts: Ophelia Hernan worked as a supervising fiscal clerk at DOTC CAR in Baguio City. She was designated as cashier, disbursement, and collection officer. She was accused of malversation of public fund amounting to 11,300 pesos because on September 19, 1996, the deposit slip did not bear a stamped receipt by Land Bank of the Philippines and was not machine validated. Issue: whether or not accused is guilty beyond reasonable doubt for the crime of malversation of public funds. Ruling: the court affirmed the finding of guilt of accused for the crime of malversation of public funds. In the crime of malversation, all that is necessary for conviction is sufficient proof that the accountable officer had received public funds, that she did not have them in her possession when demand therefore was made, and that she could not satisfactorily explain her failure to do so. Thus, even if it is assumed that it was somebody else who misappropriated the said amount, she may still be held liable for malversation. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends my topic on liability of public officers, malversation through negligence or abandonment. Thank you for listening. God bless.